Tata.
Hey, Jelly Bean.
Welcome to another episode of our lovely podcast.
Wow, we're just rolling here.
We are the Fine-Tuned Females.
We are.
Giving people advice on health, beauty, fitness, and your expertise, fashion.
Yeah, well, we have a lot to talk about then. Let's get going.
Yeah, for women over 40 and in their 50s, and maybe people in their late 30s who want to get advice from our sage minds.
But Jill, does it have to be just women?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, that doesn't. I mean, I'm sure our significant others will be listening too. So, well, what was the first topic we said we were going to talk about today?
I think we were going to say, when do we stop giving a fuck about what people think?
Well, I was taught to, I was very confused about that because, my grandparents were always saying, what will people think if you do that? What will people think?
I know, right?
And I'm like, then I become a teenager and I'm like punk rock chick, in New York at 13, 14. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Fuck them.
That's the rebellious stage. We all went through that.
So I thought I didn't give a shit, but then the grandparents seed in my brain, what will people think? And then I become like the most self-conscious creature on the planet. And all I did was like, what are people going to think of me? What are people going to think? And we got to stop. So I remember now, so that goes from like being, 10 years old to 40.
Were you really highly sensitive as a kid?
Oh, very.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you show it or did you bottle it up?
That's a good question. I mean, I had a lot of depression as a kid. So, I banged my head against walls and stuff.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What was so depressing?
I never saw love in my house. Like it was always fighting.
Did you ever get hugs or kisses?
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't, but the, you know how you have to put your money where your mouth is? So I would get lip service. Be like, I do this because I love you and because blah, blah, blah. And then, I'm hugging you to show love. But I didn't really feel it. So I was really, really sensitive because I felt like, well, I know they're telling me that they love me and I know that they're going through the motions, but I didn't actually ever really feel it. And maybe it's because my dad left when I was really young.
Oh, you had like an abandonment issue then. Did your dad have other kids? Did he get remarried?
My dad was married 4 times.
Oh my God.
My mom was his 3rd wife, and he always married women half his age. And so he was...
So he was a normal guy.
Yeah, exactly. He was a player. So he was 56 when I was born. My mom was 28.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
56.
Uh-huh. So he died when I was like 25.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, but we weren't close because he left when I was 3. And he just wasn't a nice person. He never hugged me and whatever. So I think I've always had that feeling, of like you're always trying to win. I think it was Tony Robbins who said this. I'll find out because I'll be back at that Tony Robbins conference again. But I think Tony Robbins, one of the questions he always asks the people that he works with is, when I say works with, I mean like clients. He always says, which parent were you always trying to win approval from? Which was the parent you thought that loved you less?
It's usually the one that's not around the most.
That's the one that you think loves you less, and you're always trying to win approval. Right. So I think deep down, I'm going to this Tony Robbins conference again, Date with Destiny, and it's like the 30 years of therapy that I needed, I'm hopefully going to get in 6 days. It costs as much as 30 years of therapy.
How much does it cost?
A lot. I think should I even talk about this? I think we paid $5,000 a ticket, but it's usually even more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's a spider on the wall behind you.
I love it.
Don't kill it.
If I'm hungry later, I'll have a snack.
Yeah, we don't kill spiders. Well, sometimes we do. So, so I felt as a rebellious kid my whole life. I always felt like, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. Fuck you. But deep down, I was really sensitive and just trying to hide it. And probably a lot of it came from the fact that, I was abandoned by my father. I didn't feel loved by him. And I got a lot of lip service from my mom and my grandparents.
Well, that's a huge thing when there's a father figure for a girl who needs a man in her life and he's not present.
Yeah.
It's a different relationship, women to women and women to men. So, your mom is your mom, but, a man is what makes you feel secure or makes you feel loved because he's the opposite sex, actually.
Yeah. And my mom, I know she loved me, but she didn't make me feel secure because my mom was kind of messed up with she did, different, she didn't do a lot of illegal drugs. I mean, she certainly did some, but she was addicted to prescription drugs, and I didn't find out till right before she died. She finally fessed up. I'm like, that's That's why you're crazy.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I always knew.
Well, it was the 70s, right? When you were a child?
Yeah,
so,
70s.
Yeah.
But no, she was addicted all the way up till like, not that long, much later in life. I mean, that's what caused all of her
That has got to be
diseases.
so tough to live with because you become her mother.
Yes.
You're
I
not.
was.
She's not your mom. You have to be the mother. You have to be the responsible one,
Yes, I was always the responsible
or
one.
go off the deep end. Either way, you know.
But I mean, I know she did. She wanted to have a kid. I know she loved me, and but I just, but I didn't feel secure.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, already I had a very well balanced family, and I was extremely insecure because being an only child. You can't get away with anything. Everything's targeted to you. It's like, you get a lot of attention, but you also get a lot of bad attention. Right. So, if anything's broken in the house or you screwed anything up, it's like, Anita, come here. And you're like, God, what did I do now? I didn't do it. It was the ghost. You had to find like a way to get out of it and then
the dog.
Yeah, exactly. The dog. I don't know. The Holy Ghost. I don't know. Something. Yeah. But so you're under the eye of, and parents don't realize that because I think my parents wanted me to feel really secure. But those criticisms as a young girl really went, because I'm trying to impress them.
Yes.
And every time something small, whether it was a broken dish or whatever, I felt like a complete and utter failure.
Oh my God, over a broken dish, huh?
Over anything, because I was trying to be perfect.
Your mom was a perfectionist. I never met her, but from what I know.
My mom was a perfect, but my dad was the one who was traveling all the time because he was a pilot. So he'd be gone sometimes a week at a time. And, and he's the man. So although your father left you and that's abandonment, it was a bit like I had to impress him more when he came home. Because I had my mom all the time. You take that for granted. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. So it was like, mom, whatever. And then daddy,
But I felt that too, because I felt like the times that I did see my dad, I had to try to impress him.
Right. You do, exactly.
And I needed to get attention. He never really showed affection.
Well, that's also because he is a man, and that's the opposites, It's like the boys and their moms have special relationships, and then it's the daughters and the fathers. Even though we're very close to our moms like sisters and girlfriends, and we can talk about anything with them, the man is the one that gives you the sense of security, the sense of being beautiful or good enough or whatever it is that you need.
Well, my grandfather on my mom's side did that. He really tried to step in.
That's great.
Yeah.
And
so so I appreciate that. Yeah. But he, came from that. Well, first of all, my dad was 56 and my grandfather and my father were almost the same age.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's true.
So the hard part for me as a kid was I didn't have a father that was like a normal age. Like I had two grandparent age.
Oh.
And so I didn't have any kind of male father figure.
Were you ever embarrassed to be around them because of that age difference? Like, you wanted to have like somebody young?
No, actually. No, my grandfather was, he thought he was pretty cool.
Yeah, he thought he was pretty cool.
He wanted to be in the mafia. Right. So I grew up in a Jewish family, but the very not typical Jewish family, because Jewish family dads are like, smother their little girls.
Yeah, that's it. They overdo it.
Yeah, so dads and
Jewish princesses everywhere.
Jewish dads and their little princess girls. So what was weird for me was like, I know I'm Jewish, but I really abandoned my heritage and religion because I just felt like, well, this does not seem at all like a Jewish family.
Well, was your family traditional? Like, did they do the holidays and whatnot?
Well, my father did, but I was never with him.
And your mom didn't?
No, my mom was really anti-religion. She goes, all the world's wars. She was kind of a hippie-ish, rebel too. And she said, all the world's wars started over religion, and religion is awful, and blah blah blah.
Well, that's true in a way. That they do start wars.
So I grew up believing religion is bad.
Right.
And so so I totally believe that. So it's weird, I mean, I'm not sure when people are going to hear this podcast, but we're coming into the holidays, and and Hanukkah's about to start.
Right.
Hanukkah is about to start.
I like to go.
Yeah.
I don't know how good that sounds on this, but I did it.
So who am I going to make these potato latkes for? I got no one to make the potato latkes for, no one to appreciate it.
Did you light your candles every night?
No, I don't even know the prayer. So the funny thing was my father was pretty religious. And when I was 15, I had the choice of going to Hebrew school to get my bat mitzvah.
I was just going to say, did you get bat mitzvahs?
Oh, sorry. When I was 13, I got the choice.
Right.
At 13, my dad said, well, if you want to go to Hebrew school and get a bat mitzvah, I'll pay for your bat mitzvah, or wait till you're 16 and I'll pay for your sweet 16. I couldn't have both. It was one or the other.
I know you. You went for the Sweet 16.
Yeah, why am I going to get up early on a Sunday?
You see, you're so predictable.
I mean, because otherwise I have to get up early on a Sunday and go to school.
And you actually have to follow rules, which I don't know.
But I love history. I think I would have liked it. The real problem was I could never. I was very anxious and I could never sleep well at night. So I was so tired on Sundays. I just wanted to wake up and like watch my cartoons.
Well, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. My family also, they were they were both Catholic. Then my dad converted to Protestant, and I never went to church a day in my life, so I wasn't brought up in Catholicism or being Protestant. But you know what it is? It's a sense of belonging, and I think I never felt like I belonged to anything, and I didn't fit into anything because everybody was going to Sunday school or they're having communions or confirmations, and I didn't get any of that.
Yep.
So that made me insecure a little bit. Not that I wanted to be religious, but I liked that community sense that everybody had.
Yeah.
They all had this little tribe going somewhere, and I was like the outcast left behind.
Yeah, I felt like I missed out too because a lot of my girlfriends were getting bat mitzvahs, and I felt like they were speaking a secret code because they were reading from the Torah, and like, what did they saying?
And you're not part of the circle, you know. Even my cousins, they were all Catholics and they were all communion, and I just didn't have any of that. I didn't go to church, so I didn't belong to that.
Right. So what I did, because I always felt like a misfit, I fell headlong into punk rock. It's where all the misfits gather, or at the punk rock clubs.
Was that your religion?
That was my religion, because it was like, these were all the people that society has abandoned and that don't fit in anywhere.
Outcasts.
That's right. Join our tribe.
Right.
So I was 14 years old. I heard the Ramones, and I'm like, done. This is my religion.
There you go.
Joey Ramone is God.
Your cult.
Yeah. So somebody literally almost like wanted to kill me because I said Joey Ramone is God, and he was like a religious Catholic dude.
You're kidding.
And he's like, I should kill you for that. I'm like, what?
Say what?
I'm like, this is punk rock is my religion, dude. I had like the safety pins in my ears.
Did you really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God. Did you have a dog collar?
Yes, I had a
No
spiked
way.
dog collar. I always wore I would catch Johnny Ramone's. I would always be in the front of the concerts, and I would catch Johnny Ramone's guitar picks, and I would make earrings out of the guitar picks.
Oh my God.
And then I wear them around a dog collar. And then Sid Vicious always wore the chain with the padlock.
Yeah.
So my friend Adam gave me the padlock, and I put it around the dog collar chain.
So you're kind of like a designer in your little punk rock.
Well, no, that's you. Because
but
you
I
wear
have
the
those
Prada combat boots. I wear like the actual combat boots from the surplus store.
You wear the Doc Martens, right?
Yeah, I got my combat boots from the surplus.
Oh, from the surplus
Army
store. Wow.
Army Navy store. I'm like,
Hardcore, girl.
I am really into authentic. So if I get
are.
cowboy boots, I like the fry boots.
Right.
You know, I like to wear the real thing.
No, you have to go to somewhere like Vegas or Mexico where they make them with the same. They let you choose the snakeskins.
Oh yeah, I did when I was driving cross country.
Yeah.
I actually did stop off at a place in New Mexico or Arizona at like one of those like cowboy boot stores,
Right.
and actually got a real pair of like Tony Lamas at the Tony Lama store.
I went to a leather fair when I was doing footwear in Guadalajara, and I saw that they have the snakeskins there hanging, dried
wow.
up, and they're making authentic Western boots, and you get to pick your snakeskin.
Oh wow,
Yeah, it's really cool.
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because I never thought it was, I never saw anything like that before. It was like, like you said, coming from the world of something else.
Yeah.
That was like true grit.
Yeah, so back to punk rock. I felt that's where I felt like I could fit in with like all these like misfit type people, and they understood me. And I was like, I did a little bit of like self mutilation in the fact that I would like when I was upset about something, I would like literally bang my head against something really hard.
Oh my! How did you survive that? Not get a concussion?
I probably did give myself a couple of concussions.
Did you like body slam and stuff?
Well, I would get really mad, so I would like try to hurt myself.
Oh,
yeah,
that's not good.
And I was embarrassed to tell a shrink this. So
Did you cut yourself?
I did a little bit, yeah.
I had a friend who did that, and she used to pick her skin till it bled.
Yeah.
In all different places. And I never realized at that time it was an emotional thing. I thought she was just irritated.
It actually felt good. You know what? And I'll tell you the reason why people do it. And I found this out later, becoming someone who's a health and fitness professional many years later. It's you get a release of endorphins. You hurt yourself. You you slam. You get an endorphin release. So when I would hit my head on a wall, I was like, wow, why do I feel such a sense of calm?
I would you have to have a major headache. Like, come on.
It doesn't. It's really weird. You get it, and the same thing like those people who cut themselves. I didn't do it like extensively.
Oh, she did it extensively. Her arms were raw underneath. She'd wear long sleeves all the time to hide it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't like a cutter, but I did some a little bit, and I was like, oh, this feels good. You get an endorphin release. So I was really addicted to endorphins. So no wonder I wound up like getting so into fitness, because you get that crazy endorphin release.
Yeah,
So
but what a great way to find a good release rather than to turning something more devastating
I turned it into something very positive.
Really good positive.
I never got into drugs, and of course a lot of my friends were. Yeah, I've lost friends.
Well, that's what punk is associated with.
Yeah.
People that do a lot of drugs, basically.
And then, when I was like probably almost 40, like in my late 30s, there was that new movement. So probably about 10 years ago, the straight edge movement, which was started actually. There was a punk rock band called Minor Threat, and they actually started it. But so I still didn't feel like a total outcast, because I still listen to punk rock. I still love it. I work out to it still. Even in my boot camp classes at Equinox, I go, okay, it's time for our punk rock moment.
Oh my God.
I put on a punk rock song for cardio. But they have the straight edgers, and the straight edgers are like, some of them are actually Christian or Catholic, and they don't do any drugs, they don't drink alcohol, and they're usually vegan.
It's like the Christian rock.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they're punk rockers.
Oh, wow.
So there's been the straight edge movement ever since Minor Threat. I didn't know that it was called straight edge until like 20 years later.
But didn't you know one of the Ramones?
Yeah.
Which one?
Well, I mentioned before, my friend Adam, who I met backstage at a Ramones concert when I was a kid, was really good friends with Johnny. So yeah, I got to go backstage to a bunch of shows and stuff, and that was great.
How long were you friends with him for?
Well, it wasn't like, it's not like I could call up Johnny, but when I'd go out with Adam, we would meet up with them or something.
That must have been like your dream come true.
It really was.
Yeah,
it really was. But the funny thing was, I told you how my mom grew up like, anti-war and anti-religion and blah, blah, blah. And it turns out that, Johnny Ramone was totally Republican. He went to...
no way.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Baseball fan, All-American. He went to like West Point, or he went to a military academy.
That's insane.
That's why they wore those military insignias.
Okay.
He actually...
Well, I don't know all that.
Yeah, he was...
to me.
Yeah, so... And my friend Adam's Republican, too, so they were totally like, and I'm like, all right, so, I grew up, and my mom, like, totally... protest,
What kind of music did your mom listen to?
She listened to Latin music and R&B. So I always grew up with a lot of like Marvin Gaye, the Spinners.
It's not bad.
Otis Redding. I love Otis Redding. And she was a huge Marvin Gaye fan. And then a lot of Tito Puente, because my mom met my dad. They were both doing Latin dance competitions, and they met at the Eden Rock in Miami.
Kidding. I didn't know that your mom was a dancer.
Yeah, I just told my half-sister from my father's first wife. I was just telling her this on the phone today, because we were mentioning something about my mom, and then we were talking about Dad. And I said, "Oh yeah, so I'm going down to Florida, but I'm not going to go down to Miami and see the Eden Rock." And she says, "What's at the Eden Rock?" I said, "Oh, that's where my mom and my dad met."
No kidding.
Yeah, so my sister didn't know that, but she was already grown up. My sister and my mom are the same age. My grandfather and my dad are the same age.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How many half sisters or brothers do you have that you know of, perhaps?
I have a half sister, and it turns out my half brother is in the hospital right now, so I'm sending him good vibes.
Oh.
He had his appendix burst.
Oh.
So I have a half sister and a half brother who are like the same age my mom would be. My sister's a little younger. My brother's a little bit older. My mom's passed away 5 years ago. And so they're from my dad's first marriage. My dad didn't have any kids from his second marriage. I'm from his third marriage. And then I had two stepsisters from my father's first wife, from her first husband, from his fourth wife, from her first husband.
This is confusing.
Yeah, so
you need a guide for this.
Yeah, so I had two stepsisters. And then, my dad died like 20 years ago.
Wow.
And then my mom was married 3 times, so I have, in the Jewish religion, he's considered a full brother, and in non-Jewish religions, he's not considered a full brother. He's a half brother, technically by blood, and that's from my mom's third husband. And she had no kids. She had 13 miscarriages before I was born with her first husband.
Oh my goodness.
They were doing too many drugs.
Oh, that's right. That makes sense.
They were like 21 years old. They were partying way too much. So she miscarried like 13 times.
That must have been really tough on her, though.
I guess.
I mean, that's not
I
pleasant.
didn't know her yet.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
I hadn't met her yet.
You could write a book or produce a movie on your life story. It's very
Would it be interesting?
Yeah, I think so.
Fine-tuned females, let me know if you're actually interested in all of this. To me, it's blase.
It's what great, reality shows.
It's what great sitcoms are made of.
Sitcoms, they're all made of these things. This is what what it is. It's all like, intense drama and drugs and rock and roll and 17 marriages and, somebody shows up at your doorstep one day and says, hey, guess who I am? And
yeah, it's funny because the college I went to has a ton of people that work in the entertainment business because I went to film school. And so like the people that did Will and Grace and like all these famous producer writer combos went to my college, and they all have like crazy families to write about. So where I went to school, it wasn't anything special to have my story because like everyone was writing sitcoms about it. So it didn't seem special to me.
Right.
But back to not giving a fuck. When I was in my late 30s and I'm worried about turning 40, it's like now I wish. But I read somewhere in like some magazine where it said that, it's great to turn 40 because that's when you can stop giving a shit about what other people think. Is that true?
Well, it's just as much as they always said or convinced you that 40 was the new 20. Was that true?
Yes. 40 is the new 30.
Well, they were saying the new 20 when I turned 40. So, I was like,
Yeah.
But probably more than... So what's 50? 50 is the new 40?
Yeah.
But then 40 is the new 30 and 30 is the new what? 10?
Yeah, I would say 30 is definitely like being 20, because when I was 30 years old, I knew jack shit about life. I never saw like a really happy, content, I've seen like friends, family, cousins that I didn't live with in happy, loving relationships. But in my immediate household, it was just a lot of like chaos. So I grew up with no role models as far as like what a good relationship should be like.
Right.
So when I was 30, I was engaged to a guy who was like 9 years younger than me, and I knew jack all shit about like having a good relationship. I was like...
Did you just say he was 9 years younger than you?
9 years younger, yeah.
Ooh, cradle robber.
Yeah, well, he proposed, and it was one of those like love at first sight things. It was like a kabam.
Sort of like my grandmother and her second husband.
Yeah, so it just happened,
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then, then next thing you know, we were together all the time. And then one day, at the gym, he pulls out a ring in front of my class as I'm teaching. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I guess this is me now.
Well, what happened to him?
Well, we finally broke up. I mean, I just realized that this wasn't going to last in the long term. When I was about 30, I was like, thinking I went to film school. I should probably do something with like my journalism career or do something with that. And he needed to stay in LA. His mom just died. And I was like, I think I got offered a job to do the news in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I got to go.
Oh, wow. Well, you see, my grandmother, she was very innovative. She was thinking, like, what's the secret to staying young? She had to find that. So she had already been married once, and she had my mom, and she decided, well, I got to just marry a guy who's younger. Like, when she was 40, he was 24 when they met, and she just invested in him to keep her young and going. And so she's still around, and he's not, and she wore him down, just to give you the idea of how energetic she is.
Yeah.
Poor guy passed away, but they were together for 50 years.
50?
Yes.
Wow. That's what I was just
so it
ask.
lasted, and
Yeah.
But she wore out his batteries. I mean, he can't keep up with her.
Well, I know we had another talk. Well, anyway, so I know we want to talk about like, is it okay to stop giving a shit what other people think?
Yeah, it's so weird because you do want to stop at a certain point in your life. You're like, that's it. I've paid my dues. I don't give a shit anymore what people think. But we always do. It depends what you're sensitive to. And it could be a criticism that comes from somebody you love, like your husband, your boyfriend, or whatever. They could really get to you with something, and then you don't give a fuck what the rest of the world thinks about the same thing. It's like, it depends who it's coming from.
Really?
Do we change our sensitivities? Like, before we cared about what everybody else thought, and does it become like the one you're living with is now the person that can really get to you?
Yeah.
Like, where is our sensitivity point, and do we give a shit about what people think? So
let's say it's not our significant other, but it's like, okay, so remember, so I told you a couple of weeks ago, I was fighting like crazy with Jim for a while, and one of the topics that was like a subtopic of what our fight was initially about, which was, me just sort of freaking out because I felt like, he really needed to start taking better care of his cholesterol, like taking a drug for it because he has this genetic history.
Right.
And I'm like, you're already in your 50s, and everyone else I know that has this genetic defect with cholesterol started in their 30s or 40s.
And
like,
he has it in his family.
I know. So I was like, we were having this big fight because I'm like, I know, health. My whole family are doctors, my cousins, my cousin's family are all doctors. So I grew up around a lot of like medical advice because my mom was sick with everything.
Oh boy.
So and my grandparents were sick. So I got a lot of medical advice. I really absorbed, stuff.
Right.
And I really love, medicine. And so I was like really worried about Jim and his cholesterol. And he is such a polite Midwestern guy. I said, we're going to a party. We were going to a Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm like, I was like, you just can't eat what they're going to be passing around the table. I'm going to make you healthier food that has no butter and no saturated fat.
Such a dedicated woman.
I did. And the food was amazing. And we'll do the recipes one day for
your yams. I want to try those.
Yeah, we'll do that for the podcast. We'll do a video vlog on cooking.
Yeah.
And anyway, so he, being such a nice Midwestern guy and not ever wanting to say no, he started to say, well, are you saying that I can never have another cheat meal, and that, if some sweet old lady is saying, here, try my stuffing or try my pie, I can't have it anymore? And I'm like, yeah, tell them you can't have it anymore. Thank you. And I'm not going to eat it. But he is afraid.
Or you could just say he's allergic to it.
Yeah. But he's afraid of insulting people.
Well, I see that because I'm a little bit like Jim that way. I'd rather not insult somebody, and people do get insulted, like I mentioned to you before.
But it's like, it's my health. It's to me, I see it the other way. I'm like, it insults me if you're going to ask me to eat something that I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat it because it's bad for my health.
No, I understand that. I think in hindsight now, when I reflect on it, I guess there is a polite way to say it. You could just say you're allergic to it or something, but you have to look out for yourself. I didn't realize that Jim was in that dire condition.
Well, good thing we got him to a new cardiologist, or a specialist now, and it's not as dire as we thought. He's like,
yeah.
The doctor said, because you're doing everything else right in your life, like you're exercising regularly, you're eating really well. He doesn't smoke.
Right.
Because he does everything else right, he's really reduced his risk of having a heart attack. Right. Whereas his brother and his father were both smokers and, ate a lot of like butter and crap. Yeah. So that's why
they had the Midwestern diet at the time.
That's right. It's called the SAD diet, the Standard American Diet, which is what his brother has. So I felt a lot better about that. But he finally, after this, this fight was going on for like 3 weeks, and finally the other night he woke me up in the middle of the night and we hashed it out one more time, and then a wave came over him and he saw my point.
Oh wow!
You
really went out to battle.
Yeah, I mean, he just couldn't hear me. And we talked about in our, I think it was the first or second episode, if people watch it, we were talking about like nagging.
Right.
And the only reason why a woman nags a man is because they think they're not being heard, unless you just want to be a pain in the ass. I'm not doing it because I want to be a pain in the ass. I just want to make sure that what I'm saying is heard. Repeat back to me what I said, and so that way I know you've actually heard me.
And that's what guys don't get. Then they call us nags. If we say something more than once, and this really drives me insane. I mean, I have the right to say something more than once. I could remind you something twice. You wouldn't say, oh, Anita, you're such a nag. But somehow men perceive you as a nag. Yeah. And then they don't even listen to what you're saying half the time. So what are you supposed to do?
Exactly. So you have to repeat yourself.
Right.
And so, like I said, I was repeating myself about this fight for weeks, and he wasn't hearing it. And then all of a sudden, he had a moment of clarity at 2:30 in the morning. He wakes me up. I didn't get any freaking sleep that night, a couple of nights ago. And he finally had the revelation. I pointed out to him everything one more time while his mind was clear, and after he had gone to the doctor and was a little more calm about knowing that he has better control over this cholesterol issue. And finally he heard me and he's like, oh, you're right. Oh. And like that just like thing came over him.
It's okay, Jim, we understand you're a little slow.
And so he talks slow.
We understand you, honey.
Yeah. It's that Midwestern thing. Mm-hmm. And, and I said to him, I said, yeah, you totally worried me because, you're talking about having these cheat days and stuff. And, you just can't really have cheat days unless you're on a statin, which can help, protect you against you cheating. And when we were going to this party, you had gone off your statins because you were not doing well with it. And so, so now I'm worried that you're going to have a cheat day and you have no statins to help ward off, the butter and the crap that's going to be coming in. And, I had been saying this for weeks.
I know, but you're way too accelerated for him. It's like you're like going 500 miles an hour and he's going like at one step very slow.
Yeah,
he's like the turtle, you're like the hare.
Totally. Yeah. I wake up in the morning like, bing,
yeah, exactly. And Jim is just not on your schedule. He's on Jamaica time.
Yeah, that's me in the morning. 5 a.m.
You're on speed. He's on Jamaica time.
Yeah, totally. And he is waking up slow. He like goes, gets his cup of coffee.
By the time Jim wakes up, you've already gotten 17 things done.
Well, it's not even like things done, but like my brain has already like been around the world. I've already read the news.
Totally.
Yeah, I replied to like 5 emails, and it's like by 6 in the morning, I've already done all that, and he's just like, trudging over to the coffee and. Slowly, and then I can't even talk to him because I'm like, Jim, blah, 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 blah. And he's like,
oh yeah, he's like,
I'm not awake yet. I'm like, you're drinking coffee. How are you not
awake?
He's
He's slipping Xanax in yours pretty soon.
Seriously.
You gotta pay.
But anyway, the moral of the story is he finally heard me, and I don't know whether it was from the nagging or I think it was a totally external factor. He finally went to a doctor, got some more clarity, had a third party assess his situation, and now he could hear me.
Yeah, but you know what? Don't be fooled by his slowness. He's totally registering everything you're telling him.
Well, why were we fighting for
but
the
he
same?
has delayed reaction.
Delayed
syndrome,
reaction, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's not that it's not registering. He just doesn't react like you do. You see a problem, you react. You're reactive. Boom.
Yeah.
Him, no. He's got to lull it over and then rethink. And I know Jim. He thinks everything you said. He plays on every word, restructures the phrases.
Yes.
It's like, I don't even do that. I just whim on. I'm moving on to the next thing. You're way ahead of that.
Yeah, yeah. So 2 days later, right, he's still like, well, when you said.
He's Mars and you're Venus, honey.
Yeah. But I also think that, and I know this in myself, I feel this, when we're in defensive mode and sometimes when we're in denial mode, it's hard to hear. Things can't get through. So I'm pretty sure that he was in defensive and denial mode about what was going on with his health. And that's also why he couldn't hear me. So my tactic is to just keep repeating myself. And that's stupid because, Einstein said, what's crazy? Doing the same thing and getting the same reaction over and over again. And so I know that the way I do it is wrong. I should just walk away.
Yeah.
But I just feel like maybe if I say it one more time. Maybe if I say it one more time, he'll hear me. Anyway, but then
I think men particularly don't like to be told what to do. I mean, not all of them, but definitely like my husband's very alpha. Jim is not alpha, but they don't like to be treated like children or be told what to do. They want to be able to do what they want to do on their own terms, meaning that they make that decision. You're not telling them what to do. Ben will often tell me, I'm not living with my mother. Like you sound like my mother, or like he doesn't want, but in a way he needs it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it.
Right.
I know.
Exactly.
Like, make up your mind what you want. If I don't care, then you're like, you don't care about me. And then if I care too much, you're like, I'm interfering, Yeah.
Yeah. Jim says that to me all the time. Like I'm being too much like his mother.
Right.
So I don't know. How do we stop doing that?
Iron fist, velvet glove.
So about not giving a shit, then, I aside from it being not giving a shit with our significant other, when can we stop giving a shit about like what people say about us or think? I mean, to me, I just try to disarm people. I mean, I'll insult myself or put myself down before anyone else can. I have that self-deprecating humor.
Right.
From
I do too a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to put myself down as a humor.
Yeah.
Right.
And then that way
it's also a protective thing.
It is, because you disarm the other person.
Right.
Now they can't hear you.
Beat you to it. Beat you to the insult.
Exactly. So, I mean, in a sense, I think we're already like protecting ourselves against what other people will say or think because we're not giving them a chance to say or think it, right?
I think so. Or maybe we don't feel self-worth sometimes, and so it's a defense mechanism for us to put it out there before someone can say it to you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think it's so different because we're like, for me, it depends on the time of the month. Like I'm going to be sensitive when I'm hormonal, and then I'm less sensitive after. And, guys don't have that. They're pretty like even keel most of the time. Like either they're really sensitive or they're not as a person. Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Us, it has so many variables that are involved. So it depends on the time. Like I can go and someone can, say whatever they want to me and insult me and totally don't give a shit. Like whatever, fuck off.
Did that start at a certain time though? Did you feel like after 40 you didn't give a shit anymore?
Yeah, definitely with age, because you just start to see that, it's not that important.
Yeah.
And you're not the focal point anyway. We tend to think, it's not all about me. And, so somebody said something to me, boo fucking who, I don't care. But I used to care so much because I wanted to impress, and I thought I was the center of all attention. I'm the center of the universe.
Because you were an only child.
Right. And I was still trying to impress mommy and daddy in my head. So what do you mean? It isn't, what do you mean my hair's out of place? And who cares today? We don't care.
How do you feel about criticism? So let's say, not that I want to spark this by any means, but let's say this podcast is up and somebody, insults us or says something insulting. How would you predicting, thinking about it now before it actually?
I anticipate it.
Okay.
I'm already armed and ready to go. I'm like, hey, man, bring it on, because, that's life. I mean, we criticize each other. Everybody criticizes every day. You criticize the people you love when they do something wrong, and then when they do something right, you praise them.
So are you okay with criticism?
I think so. I mean, it depends what it is, but I'm not perfect. I'm sorry I'm not perfect. Sorry to disappoint y'all. And I'm just giving you my opinions, and, I'm not an expert on anything, really.
Yeah, because I remember, we had talked about this once, like what happens when we get like negative or bad reviews. And I'm like, so, at least we're getting attention.
I was kind of bullied in school, so I got a little bit of, armor here. I'm already prepared. So, go ahead, have fun with it, enjoy yourselves.
I was bullied a lot too.
So, sometimes I don't know. I don't know if I really care about that as much. Would it make us self-conscious about ourselves? Like if somebody said, "Oh, you should get your nose fixed or something."
Well, when you told me about my turkey neck, I have not stopped looking at that freaking thing.
Well, that's because somebody told me about this.
I didn't. So so thanks for paying that shit forward, bitch.
Right? So and I just decided to share my misery.
Thank you. So I didn't even know I had this, right? And then you're like, "What are you gonna do about your turkey neck, you old hag?"
I was like, "Who can I take the shit out on?"
And so
I can't live with this alone.
So now I gotta save up $3,500 so on Monday I can go get the fucking jowls pulled up from your doctor.
If somebody didn't mention it to me, I would have never noticed it on you or anybody else. I didn't notice it on myself. Like it was not important. That's what I'm saying. Like, is that what's going to happen? If somebody mentions something, is that going to become a focal point?
Well, if it's a physical thing, yeah. If it's that's the thing. If it's a physical trait, you become hyper aware of it. Because I remember I was doing a workout video. I was in one of the P90 videos with Tony, because I was friends with Tony, and so he told casting. Tony Horton.
Okay.
Who is like in amazing shape for like almost, what's he like? Almost 60 now.
Yes.
Insane shape. And so he, told casting he wanted to put his friends in these videos. So he brought me in. And so I'm in this cute little outfit and, and I'm, and I'm like getting really ripped and buff for this video. And, I'm like doing Tabata push-ups and whatever. I could do like 100 push-ups in a freaking minute, whatever. So I'm getting all buffed up. And so I get on my outfit. I think I had a spray tan. And then, cameras are rolling. We're doing the workouts, and I kept hearing like people going, whispering, and then stopping, and then looking at me like that. And then the next thing I know, the director, and I know the owners of the freaking company too.
Paranoia, Deep Destroyer.
Oh yeah, thank you, the Kinks reference. So, they pull me into wardrobe, and they have me change into a long top because I was wearing a crop top. My skin was my fucking wrinkles were going over the edge of my pants.
Wow.
And
sure, it just wasn't PMS or something?
No, my skin was going over my shorts.
Oh God, muffin top.
Yeah, but it wasn't fat. It was skin rolls. I had rolls of skin going because there were wrinkles.
I don't even see how that's possible on you.
Right here. Really? This was hanging over. Right there, hanging over the pants. And for those of you listening.
You must stop everything now.
So now, ever since that day, however long ago that was, like 5 years ago, I can't. Now all I ever see when I bend over is those rolls that the director saw, and I'm like, thank you very much. And then you mentioned my turkey neck, and I'm like, now it's all I see. So when I look in the mirror, I see a turkey neck and rolls over my pants. Well, thank you.
We talked about cellulite the other day, and honestly, like that's one of my things. Like I hate that. I just know that in the sunlight, it's like cottage cheese city on certain areas of my butt that I try to cover, and I'm very self-conscious about it because I can't control it, and I'm a control freak, so when I can't control something,
well, it just the type of skin you have and the way that your cells, the way that the fibers that hold the fat together structure themselves. Like there's some people who have thick skin and they get like this nice waffle looking fiber. Other people are like like all mauled.
Well, there's worse and there's like,
Yeah, so I mean, you can't really help the shape that the cellulite takes form in. That's genetic.
No,
how much you have.
It's when you ask your husband and you think he's going to be nice and lie to you and say, honey, do you see any cellulite in this light? And he's like, well, just a little bit on the back of your legs. I'm like, you're not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say you're perfect.
Yeah. So we all get that if you have thin skin, whatever.
Right.
I mean, even I have some.
I know. Well, I don't think you have. You have a lot of muscle on you. It'd be very hard to see any on you.
Yeah, I do.
I'm not as muscular as you.
I mean, I do have a little. Like if I grab something.
Well, that's anywhere.
Yeah.
Because you have fat under your skin. We all do.
Right. So when I wear shorts and they're tight, in the cuff, it makes the skin pop up, and I can see the cellulite because I don't have that. I don't have thick skin.
Well, you have to be careful when you cross your legs because it's just that little bit underneath here that pinches against the other skin, and I've seen it on other women. So I take the mirror and I'm like, hey, is that me too?
Yeah, that spot there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So do we give a shit about it or not? Like to
know.
me, being on camera, on a workout video, I can never stop thinking about it. I'm like, when everyone sees my neck,
I just wanted to be 20 forever because in my 20s, none of that happened.
Seriously.
And everything was where it belonged.
Yeah, but you looked good in your 20s. I look like crap. I was, I didn't. I was everything opposite I am today in my 20s. Everything opposite. I'm a 180 different person.
Wow, that's incredible. I'd have to see that to believe it. I can't believe it.
So my stupid ass personality is probably the same. It's probably the same,
You mean you
bitchy,
haven't
annoying,
matured?
naggy.
You haven't gotten better with age then. You're saying you're just getting worse in that area.
Physically, yeah, and emotionally, I have a lot less. I don't deal with depression anymore.
Right.
Thank God.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we talked about it was like a vitamin D. It was a vitamin D deficiency
Well, you've
causing.
also taken charge of your own life now.
Yeah, so my health has changed everything.
Right.
Like being a fitness guru for the last 25 years has changed everything. But the first 25 years, I was a mess. I don't even think I looked good either. But
Well, I was critical of myself then too. I think I always put myself down just as a safety net because I never thought that I was that great, actually. I mean, I really seriously thought when I was young I was the ugliest duckling and I'd have to rely on a good personality and a really high education to get through in life because I wasn't going anywhere. That's what my perception was.
Yeah, my family really stressed school, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting that hint.
Then I had a really good sense of humor.
You better be smart.
I better be funny.
Yeah.
I better be smart.
Yeah, that
I gotta have something going for me.
That's right. I was not a pretty kid. I was not really. I was very just average looking.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I guess I better be funny, and I guess I better hone a talent.
Exactly.
And I guess I better do all right in school.
You gotta find something, or you're gonna be left out in the field somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
So what was the other topic we were going to talk about
Well,
today?
I just wanted to say when we were talking about, if you don't mind, I'll circle back. Another thing about depression is that, it's amazing how when I feel depressed, it's because I feel I have no control in my life. And you cannot blame things that happen to you. It is your choice to take charge.
Yeah.
No matter what. Unless, of course, it's a health issue, and that's really sad. But even that, you've got to take charge of it. So, like fitness, if you're feeling bad about yourself, and it doesn't mean that you have to be super thin or anything like that. If you just feel uncomfortable in your own skin, that's going to depress the shit out of you.
That's why fitness saved me. It saved me from depression first. Yeah.
Taking charge of it and doing something about it on your own means you're taking charge of you. It's not controlling you. You are controlling you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was the greatest sense of accomplishment I ever had, was being able to control my health and my body.
Right.
I was like, wow, because you can't control external forces. There's so much you don't know. Are you going to get hit by a truck?
Right.
Is your dog going to die?
Right.
There's
so many other variables.
Are you going to come home and find your significant other cheating on you? Are you going to get fired just because there's someone younger and hotter?
But those things happen. That's
what I'm saying.
You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can't control what's happening outside.
No.
And that's why fitness and diet are so amazing, because you have control over every morsel you put in your face.
Yeah.
And every step you take, and every jumping jack you do, and every push up, and every pound of weight you lift. You have complete control over making your body stronger and healthier.
And even if you're not doing it to become thinner or whatever, it's just such a great emotional strengthener, I find.
It does, because like I
Gives you
talked
this
about
release.
with beating my head against the wall when I was a kid, because it felt good.
It feels
It releases endorphins.
So it's helpful, and I think that you have to take charge of things, because so many bad things that you said can happen to you, what do? Are you going to let your life, your journey, your one life that we know exists, I mean, we don't know beyond that really, you're going to let that suffer, or are you going to take charge of anything that happens to you and try to turn it around to make it better for you? Even if it doesn't change the situation, then you got to change yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing, and I think fitness is a big part of that. That's a huge step to the remedy.
Yeah, it gives. If you're a control freak,
Right.
I can't imagine how control freaks don't exercise regularly.
Right.
Because it is the one thing, that you have complete control over. How heavy you're going to go, how fast you're going to go. I mean, of course, there's limiting factors. If you just had your knee replaced, obviously you're not going to be doing,
Well, that's it.
jumps.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still can exercise. Nothing can ever take that away from you. There's always a way to do it, and to have control over your body. I mean, unless you have MS. I'm not talking about
Well, that's the
extreme
thing.
situations.
I mean, there are people that get these debilitating diseases, and but then, and I'm not saying that, I mean, that's just definitely very hard to deal with, and you have to be super strong. But look at people like Stephen Hawkins, who made the best of what was, didn't stop living his dream.
Right.
And not everybody has that strength, but you have to find the strength somewhere in something. Somewhere out there in something, there is something of a source of strength for you. Because you can't rely on others, really.
How did we get on this topic?
We're talking about depression earlier, the vitamin D, and then fitness.
Yeah. So fitness and fitness and vitamin D really saved me from depression.
Right.
I mean, the only time I ever felt really normal was when I was taking Zoloft for a few months, and I'm like, oh, is this what it feels like to be normal? Oh, okay.
Right.
This feels good.
Because you might have had an imbalance of some type.
I did.
Right.
I did. Serotonin.
Right, there you
go. And so I was working out so hard, I was actually hurting myself because I was trying to get that serotonin release. And anyway, but it's then I understood what it feels like to be normal. And now I can find that. I'm like, okay, I remember what it felt like. And I'm like, all right, now I can create that. But about depression is something that I never also knew, because no one ever told me this. There was books written about it, and no one gave it to me till I was like 40. Finally, my ex-boyfriend David gave me this book about choosing happiness. Like, 2 ex-boyfriends said to me, you choose your mood. I'm like, what do you mean you choose your mood? Your mood is based on like all the shit that's happening to you externally.
What if really bad things happen to you? Like loss of someone you love, whether it's a spouse or a family member.
A lot of people know this. I got the memo really late. My email was not working, I guess. Maybe there wasn't an email yet.
Right.
But I got the memo really late that you actually create your own happiness and create your own mood. I learned this way late in life. Ladies, learn this early. There's books on this. I mean, you choose your mood. Like, you choose to be happy. I had a gratitude journal for a long time. That really helped. You just say, I'm going to be happy today. And then think about 10 things that you have in your life that are wonderful, or even just 5 things that other people don't have. And I'm like, wow, I'm in a good mood now. And I never knew this. I was looking at these ex-boyfriends of mine. I'm like, why are they just able to be in a good mood even though all this shit is happening to them? They're like, you choose your mood. I'm like, what do you mean you choose your mood? It's like, I choose the bra I'm going to wear. I choose my underwear.
Go in your closet and you say, I'll take mood A today.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean you choose your mood? It's like a menu?
Right. No,
it's on the D. One from column A, one from column B.
Well, we can't be perfectionists. Like, it's okay to have your mood swing, but, choose to be happy over being miserable, because misery isn't going to get you anywhere anyway. So yeah, it's okay to mull for a little bit. I think after that, just try to perk yourself up. Anyway, positive energy brings positive.
Yeah, but the point is, I thought I was externally motivated, which is also comes back to us talking about feeling judged, or
Right. Well, that's the whole circle of things, right?
Yeah, or feeling criticized, and when do we stop giving a fuck?
So are you going to let somebody else's criticism change your mood?
Well, not anymore. I learned this lesson really, really late. I wish that memo had gotten to me sooner.
Yeah. I mean, you could be discontent with things on yourself and self-conscious about it. Like, I'll talk about, hey, a little bit of cellulite bugs me, or this or that, or things that are changing in my body that I don't really love.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do? I have to do something about it, or embrace it and accept it and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. And yeah.
And within reason, you can spend a few $1,000s and get a little nippy tucky thing, which I'm doing, because now that you pointed out my jowls.
Yeah, that's not a real nippy tuck. That's like collagen thread. That's not like
yes,
surgery.
But they're still sticking something in my face, and they're going to pull it up a little bit.
As much as they're sticking Restylane in it, maybe a little bit more, but it's
But
not.
there's going to be a string in my face.
of collagen. It's going to
No.
dissolve.
It's not collagen. It's a suture material.
Well, it's suture material that dissolves, like the kind that you don't have to get removed.
And the collagen is like a scar.
Right.
It builds up in the area. So so the silhouette lift I'm doing on Monday. I'm excited.
Ooh. But for other surgeries, unless it's extremely necessary, I've been told by my doctors, the longer you wait, the better. Because you'll get better results and you won't have to do it again. Like some girls, they start too young.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
I get asked. I mean, because people come to me with their self-conscious issues all the time, and and I try to tell them, really put off that liposuction until you've actually really tried all the diets you can and all the workouts programs you can, and when you've gotten to the best you can do, then talk to a doctor.
Right.
So we'll bring on a plastic surgeon,
right?
Maybe the one that does my little lift, and we'll get him, and we'll get his point of view, and get him to tell us what he tells people
to see the results.
Yeah. All right. So what about a bitch fest today? You got a bitch fest for me?
Oh yeah. You know what? Is it autumn right now? Has the time changed? Is it getting darker earlier?
Yeah.
Because I was on such a good thing about like exercising and watching what I ate and counting my calories on the FitnessPal app that I have.
Yeah.
And then the darkness sets in, the temperature changes, and we live in California, so what does the temperature change? Maybe 10 degrees?
Yeah, what do you have to complain about?
I know, but that's what I thought. I thought, I come from Canada. I understand when you're in a snowstorm and you want comfort food and you're cold. I live in LA. Why do I have the same cravings? Why am I not able to commit to my same exercise routine and eating? Like, why am I craving more wine and more comfort foods? And I'm feeling blue earlier. Is it the darkness? Is it, it's not that cold. It can't be the climate change.
Well, I mean, it does get a little colder. I don't know how, and I love reading scientific.
And I start baking this time of year. Like, I never bake until it gets to this time of year. Then I crave to bake.
Yeah, I love reading like science studies, and there's a lot on seasonal affective, on SAD, seasonal affective disorder and stuff. And then the shorter days definitely lead to people feeling more depressed. And when you're
and when you get older, did you know this? But as you get older, like senior citizens, they do have what they call the Sundown Syndrome, and that happens when it gets darker earlier, because elderly people tend to get depressed. I mean, they're facing the end of their life, basically. So that Sundown Syndrome really kicks in.
Oh, I'll be living in Mexico then.
And they need to have some kind of supplements.
Yeah, I'll probably live in Mexico. Well, so the shorter days and cooler weather for everybody, it's even cooler for us, make us crave more carbohydrate foods. So, and then that is just a vicious cycle, because you start eating more sugary carbohydrate foods, and it makes you want more, because it actually creates a loop in your brain.
Yeah.
And so the only thing you can do is just not give in from the get-go.
But that's what my bitch fest is. I'm giving in.
Yeah, you have cravings.
You know what? I have salads in the summers with grilled fish or something, and now I don't even want to know about that.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it actually, I believe, comes from our evolution. And I think part of it comes from the fact that we had to store up extra fat in the winter to before the winter comes, so in case we have a famine, in case we can't get food, like bears hibernate, so they have to eat as much.
We're like the bears then.
Yeah. Or, because food was going to be scarce for humans in the winter, and we might not be able to get out to hunt as much, and we're going to lose whatever if we were agrarians doing agriculture. We're going to lose crops and stuff. So I think people normally try to eat extra before the winter. So I think that is part in our genes.
And I'm a foodie, which you know.
Yeah.
So already I feel like it's a hormonal change almost. It's like PMS every day.
Well, is it hormones? Which hormones are you talking about? Because we do get hormones that affect our brain, and if we're getting sad because the daylight hours have gone away and it's cooler. Yeah. So those hormones make us want to eat some more food that will elicit dopamine, which are carbohydrates and sugars.
Well, what about people that live in Seattle that don't have as much sunshine as we do? They get more rain.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they heavier there? I think so.
No, they're pretty healthy. Are they heavier there? I don't know.
I don't know.
They're pretty natural, aren't they? Like very.
I'm just thinking of the people I know from Seattle. They're heavier, but it could just be the people I knew from there.
Okay.
So, but maybe not. Yeah, so you just have to kind of nip it in the bud. What are you going to do for your cravings?
I know I have to nip it in the bud. I always find an excuse. Like I say, okay, well, once Thanksgiving's over, but that doesn't work because, hey, Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
And then there's little parties in between, and then you're tempted to have a drink here and some extra little food there. And
yeah, once you start having that eggnog, once you start having that sugar, that does create a hormone response because it creates insulin,
Right.
and insulin is a hormone, and it does create you because it hits a receptor in your brain, the pleasure sensor in your brain, and it makes you want more, and it makes you want more, and it makes you want more. So
starting an addiction.
it is.
Right.
Yeah. So once you eat it, then you've got to either just say, all right, I'm going to have the self-control, or you're going to wind up going with it because it is a pleasure sensor. It's a reward center in your brain.
Okay, so when you see me going for that piece of chocolate, just grab a carrot stick and shove it in my mouth right away. Go,
Yeah, so either you just don't do it, or you allow yourself to indulge and just say, okay, spring will be coming up and I'll work it off then. But a lot of people, every year, they wind up gaining 5 pounds. And then another year later.
It's like the winter 5-pound gift.
Yeah, and then a lot of people don't lose it. So every year they're 5 pounds heavier. And they did do a study on this. It was an epidemiological study, and they found that those people were at a much higher risk of disease and death. Those people that gain 5 pounds every year and don't take it off.
Which says death.
Death. Yeah.
Eat more chocolate.
But that study came out fairly recently. And then as we get older, most people gain about a pound a year.
Okay.
Or 5 pounds every 3 years, but you gain a little bit of weight as you get older. So you have to either just say, all right, as I'm hitting my 40s and 50s, I just have to get better with my diet.
Right.
Now, I had the luxury of already knowing this in my 30s, reading textbooks on this and stuff. So I knew this was going to happen.
Right.
So I had the game plan. I seriously had the 20-year plan. Like before I turned 30. Before I turned 30, I was like, here's the 20-year plan. By the time I'm 50, blah, blah, blah. It worked. I mean, I really just kept it. When you have a goal that you always keep in mind, I'm like, I want to look fucking good at 50.
Right.
So I need to make sure that this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And it wasn't like something I had to do every day, like watch every single thing I ate every single day. But I had the long-term picture of what I wanted to look like at 50. And I did that.
Well,
but
you know what?
You got to start.
Yeah, you got to start. I think the thing is, at our age, this is what we take for granted. We don't embrace our aging process very well because we think, I gained 5 pounds, I'll lose it like I did when I was 20 in a day. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen now. You lose 5 pounds, it takes a year.
Let me know how that works.
Yeah, right. And I'm so used to easily losing whatever I put on my whole life that now it sticks with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. It's like, hey, I'm here to stay. We moved our furniture in. We're settling in. We're redecorating you.
Yeah, our metabolism slows down as we get older.
Does.
So as you get older, like if I'm just going to give a piece of advice to the listeners and viewers, the one thing is just as the older you get, the less sugar you really want to be eating.
Well, and that's,
just start cutting out that sugar.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, my appetite's increased. I'm trying to find healthy alternatives to satisfy those cravings. Like, I'll be making my paleo muffins, and I'll be trying to not use sugar in it. And you
can't. There won't be paleo muffins if you put sugar in it.
Right, they won't be paleo. But I'm saying, or if you want to call them not gluten, like I'll be using other alternatives, or just keeping them lower calorie and healthier. I mean, I'm trying to do those things, or eating very bittersweet dark chocolate, just one little piece. I don't have to have the whole thing.
Right.
And that just does it, and it's still healthy for you, chocolate, if it's bittersweet.
Yeah, so my advice then about cravings is, either go with it and then just work out a little extra, work those calories off. But more so, it's not that you're working off the calories so much, which you are, but you're getting that sugar out of your bloodstream. The more you exercise, the more insulin sensitive you are. So you actually get sugar out of your blood.
Right.
Because the more sugar that's in your blood, the more insulin you have, and that insulin is going to trigger crap to make you eat more crap.
Well, then you choose alternatives, like instead of rice, do the rice cauliflower, which I'm doing a lot of.
Yeah.
And, I think that helps a lot because you're still getting full.
So, but you said you're still getting cravings.
Yeah, the time of year. I mean, I'm eating more, so I'll have more of a serving than I would have had a few months ago.
Yeah, and I think that eating more, I think that's just in our genetic code. So all we can do is just try to, exercise a little harder, exercise a little bit more. The exercise is going to get the sugar out of your blood. The first thing your body uses is glucose.
Yeah.
Glucose is the sugar that's in your. It's sugar on the plate. It's glucose in your body.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what exercise does. It'll use up that glucose.
That is my major bitch fest because I promised myself this year I would take take more charge of that. And then I'm fighting those cravings like demons, you know, like they're haunting me, and I'm having like, so I have a glass of wine. Now I'm trying to have half a glass of wine and trying to wean myself off of it. It's been tough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this happening now? I don't have these cravings usually. It's like, is it the seasonal craving thing?
Well, do you get it every year?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know that, because I always bitch about, I say this time of year, I always put on that 5 pounds I hate.
Yeah.
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 So, and everything gets tighter, and you're like, what?
Right.
The sausage effect.
Yeah. Thank God for stretchy stuff.
Yeah,
well, okay, so we are supposed to talk about a product we love.
Oh, yeah. What do you love?
Every week. Well, I don't remember. I'll report back in after I use it, but I just ordered a bag of monk fruit because I remember I was at one of these health food conventions. I go to Expo West, which is like this giant natural food expo. And a couple of years ago, I went and they gave me some samples of monk fruit, and I found it was a lot better than stevia. And it's got 0 calories and no glycemic load, so you can use that in place of sugar. So I bought some for Jim, so he can maybe put that in his coffee.
Oh, good. And it tastes good.
I just got it yesterday from Amazon,
okay.
so I got to tear it open and try.
Yeah, because stevia tends to have that bitter aftertaste, but I use the Truvia. It doesn't have the aftertaste in it.
I still taste it.
You still taste it.
Yeah.
And then I have the other one, the organic stevia. It doesn't as bitter as whatever they call stevia without the word organic on it.
Yeah. So I got the monk fruit. So I'll let you know how that is, but I think I'll like that. And then the other thing is, ladies, primer. You just got to use primer.
Yeah, it dries out my skin though. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't, but I tend to get drier with it.
They're just supposed to put a layer over your skin. Like,
I do, yeah.
Like they're not supposed to absorb. They just smooth out any wrinkles. So when I put on any kind of makeup, whether it's like a regular makeup or what I'm using now, like a CC cream or a BB cream, which is lighter, it just puts it on more smoothly and it doesn't get stuck in my little creases.
Do you put it on your neck?
Yep.
And it works?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I use it on my eyelids. They make a special one for eyelids, but I just use the same shit. You know me. I can't be bothered with a lot of stuff.
I know.
You are definitely much better at doing all these little details.
But it does drive me crazy. I always use the same 4 or 5 products over the years, even though I have a shitload of other ones, because I just always go back to what I love.
Yeah, but you're just much more meticulous about everything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I need to be. I guess I just really rebelled. It always took me so long to do makeup and hair and taking off my makeup and the teeth and the this. And remember, I had the Invisalign for a couple of years.
Yes.
So much work. So now I'm just like, I just take some like soap, wash off my face, throw on a little moisturizer, go to sleep. Floss and brush my teeth. But I cannot be bothered. Like even getting dressed too, it's like I can't be bothered with like accessories.
I know. Well, in LA you don't use accessories that much. I find people don't wear like a lot of jewelry compared to the East Coast.
Yeah, it's just like t-shirt,
that.
jeans.
Yeah.
You know what? I
We're
can't.
lazy.
I'm really freaking lazy with that shit. Only if I'm going to like a big event.
Right.
And then back to the original topic is like, if I don't have everything put together just perfectly, should I even give a shit what people think?
You shouldn't.
No.
But that would be the ideal, and maybe you wouldn't be a woman if you did. I don't know, maybe it's part of being a woman that we do.
Yeah, I don't know. It might have been something that was just instilled in us. Like I said in the very beginning, my grandparents saying, what will they think?
Well, you know what? In the animal kingdom, it's always the male that's the more attractive. Like ducks are the colorful ones, and the females are the brown ones. Like in the
the women don't give a shit what they look like.
Right?
But that's because the men are vying for their attention.
Right.
In human world, it's the opposite.
Right.
The women have to attract the men because the men have so many other options.
Of course.
In animal kingdom, the man has to preen and look hot because the woman's like, later, dude.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You think you're a duck? Really? You call that a duck dick? I don't know. That's a duck dick? I don't know. Like a Hank over there.
I don't know if ducks have dicks.
He's hung like a goose.
That's a new one.
But yeah, because the male ducks are prettier than the
Are you hung like a goose?
the male ducks are ugly. I mean, are attractive. They're beautiful with all those colors.
Right.
The female ducks are just like brown.
Right. That's the same thing. Like lions have the big mane, and the female lions are just like naked.
Plain. Yeah. Exactly. Peacocks.
Right.
Everything. All the birds. It's like.
So Mother Nature made the women less attractive. So in our case, maybe we're born less attractive. We have to do so much more to make ourselves attractive.
But we're not supposed to. It's supposed to be the man is supposed to look good for us, goddammit.
But guys, they don't have to worry about aging gracefully like we do.
Exactly. We got short end of the. I'm coming back in my next life. I'm coming back as an ostrich.
Right?
Stick my head in the ground. I'll never have to look at myself. Well, actually, are male ostriches better looking than female ostriches? Yeah, I think they are. The men have that like pretty white collar.
Oh, they
They're
do?
like
I don't
priests.
know anything about ostriches, so you're out of my field here.
I saw an ostrich race once.
Do ostriches have big dicks?
I don't know, but it's got to be bigger than a duck.
I don't know if they have them. Do they?
But yeah, so this is really not fair. We'll have to discuss this. This will be our next bitch fest. Like, why do men not have to look as good as women when it's the exact opposite in the animal kingdom?
know.
Ladies, share your thoughts with us on that, because now I'm pissed.
I'm pissed.
And now we have to end on that note.
Okay.
You know?
Let's cut it there.
All right, very good.
All right.
Okay, Tata, until next time.
Until next time,
You go
Jackie.
keep being a fine-tuned female.
I will, and you too, girl.
All right, I'll try. I'll fine-tune.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.